Well, folks, welcome. My name's David Tensen, and I'm here with Chelan, Harkin. We're both poets. We love poetry, and we're going to talk about Poetry Chapel. Chelan, welcome. Thanks for joining me in this kind of impromptu but necessary Zoom.
So fun to be here, David.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So tell everybody where in the world you are.
Yes, good question. I live in Washington State in the US, so the northwest most corner.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice place. Is it green like the painting behind you?
Very green and foresty and rivery and mountainy.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm on the Sunshine Coast in the state of Queensland, Australia, where we have had about 3 weeks of heavy rain, but there's sunshine today. This is supposed to be the Sunshine State, but hey, climate change brings things around differently. It's a gorgeous place to live. So it's morning for me and afternoon for you.
The day before. Yep.
Afternoon yesterday. Yeah, it's Thursday morning here.
Yesterday.
Wednesday afternoon for you. By the way, Thursday is a lovely day. You'll enjoy it.
Excellent.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about Poetry Chapel, what Poetry Chapel is, and then we're going to ask each other maybe some questions, answer some questions that we've been asked about Poetry Chapel, and also read some of our poetry from books that we've published. So buckle up. I guess I should start with Poetry Chapel, what it is, how it started. I wrote a couple of books. The first poetry book I wrote was called The Wrestle. It did really well, got some great endorsements, sold thousands of copies. And I'd been writing poetry for a few years, and somebody had said, please go put it in a book. I'd sent it to some traditional publishers. COVID came. They were like, oh, we don't know if we can sign people up at the moment, although we seriously love your work. Eventually somebody said you could self-publish, and I was like, I'll look into that. So glad I did, and ended up, self-publishing the book and getting it out a few months later after deciding, oh, this is what I could do. I love the process so much that I went on to write a smaller book, a chap book, called So I Wrote You a Poem, which is full of poems based on stories, difficult life stories people had sent me on Instagram, actually. So I'd done that and was really loving the writing and publishing process. Some of the freedom that you get. I don't know if you've experienced the same, Chelan, but some of the agency that you get in self-publishing is just a boon. As an artist, it's a bonus. Not that I didn't get editors, not that I didn't employ professionals to help me, but at the end of the day, the poetry was my selection, the order was my selection. And so then I thought, I want to write another book by the end of the year. It was about April, May of last year. So I'd like to write another book. But you're going to get this, Chelan. How many emails or messages do you get every week that are like, hey, here's a poem that I wrote, and people send you poems?
All the time.
How many would you be getting? Like,
well, I mean, let me really think about that. I mean, probably 10
per week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Per week or per day? Because if it's per day.
No, per week.
Yeah. So I think I was getting about 3 or 4 a week.
Yeah.
Or people would tag you, please read my poem. And I realized that people see you published, see you've been successful. Your poetry's being shared by well-known people. For me, some well-known authors were sharing my poetry as they were touring and social media, etc. And I know the same has been for you. You've had some, even just recently, right? Somebody shared one of your poems, had like, how many thousand shares did it have?
Oh, 18,000 shares. Yeah. I know.
So all of a sudden, people there's somebody they've elevated in their status of fame, and they want to send you something, which is great. It's flattering, and I'm always gracious to have a read. In most cases, some people have been relentless, and I just have to say, please don't send me more poetry. I'm not an editing service, but I would read that. But realizing people actually want to write with you, people want to hang out with you, people want to glean from you. So I thought, what if I just put out an offer there and said, does anybody actually want to write a book with me? Now, I've done lots of courses and short courses, and you know, you and I have both worked for a long time in the allied health healing space, right? Yourself in hypnotherapy, myself in inner healing, and so you're used to holding space for people, loving on people. You know how to actively listen. You know how to lean into people's stories. You know how to be empathetic. And I thought, what if I just harness those kind of therapeutic group skills and bring people on a journey of, I was winging it, to be honest, because there's nothing as like this out there. What if we put 10 Zooms together? We hang out. I spend the first sort of 5 Zooms, we get to know each other. We go through poetry prompts. We go through some of the real basic skills of poetry. It's not a university course. It's not an advanced poetic technical course, but how do you write meaningful, heartfelt poetry, which is always my goal. And what if we publish a book together? Then I show them the whole self-publishing process. And so I did that. I put it out. Who's interested? 40, 50 people said, I'm interested. I said, oh, well, I try to do the maths in my head. If I write half the book and they write half the book and it's a 200-page book, what do we do? So we went for it, and it was more amazing than I could imagine. Not only the way that people changed in their approach to poetry, but people found a voice, people made friends, people shared really deep and hard things in their life, but they didn't have to do it explicitly. They got to do it through the arts, through poetry. And as you probably know, there is something called poetry therapy. But when you write to publish, it's like this whole other internal process to go, I not only need to express what I'm believing, but connect with an audience and make sure I'm using all the technical things right to make it attractive, a good poem, and that it's read in a way that I want it to be read. And that it's not just about me, somebody will be able to relate. So that was a great success. This was the book that came out of it. And so half of this book are poems that I contributed, and the other half were poems that 14 other people did. So everybody gets, this is the way it works. In your case, half of the book will be your poems that you've done, you've contributed, and the other half, so there'll be like everyone gets a 1-page bio, and then they get 6 pages of the book to publish their poetry. Now we use editors, we use typesetting. I talk them through the whole thing, but by the end of it, so here's an example. By the end of it, they've got the skills to publish their own book. In fact, one of the guys, Frankie, in my first group, was so excited and started to write so prolifically. By the time we'd published this within 5 months, he'd written and self-published his own using all the same tools.
Amazing.
And had done the whole thing. And it's a gorgeous book. He's sold hundreds and hundreds of copies. It's done really well. So we go through that whole, how do you make poetry? How do you manage the process of getting it into a book form? And then really importantly, and some people hate this, but how do you market it? Because why would you write something that you don't want people to read? If you want them to read, you just have to lean into the marketing stuff. So I have a business marketing background as well. So we do everything from a book launch to all the stuff around that, all the promotional material. So I did it again, and this is the next book that we've just finished, and this comes out June 15th. Winters Never Last, and it's a similar format. Again, half of mine, the other half is the other 14. They've just been so transformative and meaningful for the people that have done it. The whole experience is not, I found out it's not just about publishing and learning how to publish and write, but actually to be in a safe, psychologically safe, emotionally safe, open environment where you come within the language of poetry and present your story and your life and your suffering. Like I think six or seven out of the people, the 14 who co-wrote this with me, had lost somebody close to them in the last 12 months. And so some of the poems on grief and things are just so beautiful. Just, I cry sometimes reading some of these. They're just so gorgeous. So that's how Poetry Chapel was born. And then I saw your stuff and I reached out. I said, hey, what do you think? Would you like to run one as well? And you said yes. So we're currently signing people up to start with you on June 30. So that's my journey. Tell us a bit about your writing journey as well.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, so I've been writing poetry's been a huge part of my life since I was 17. When I discovered free verse poetry, it was this amazing, really life-changing moment, kind of like meeting a soulmate or something of of realizing there was a format in which I could express all of these things that I hadn't found a way or a place to express before, that I had really, held inside and didn't know how to share with others. And so it was just a huge breakthrough. And then, but I had all kinds of perfectionism complexes and just insecurity still about sharing my voice with others, and was kind of in this binary of like, in this nervous, tense binary of good, bad, succeed, fail. And I just deeply I was kind of delicate and I needed good feedback. And so I was afraid to share, and had a significant breakthrough when I was 21, in which I needed a change, and I decided to allow myself to do it kind of an experiment where I said I would allow myself to write a bad poem every day for 30 days and share it. And
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
just get out of that the tight confining inner judgments that were keeping me kind of more small than I wanted to be. And so, yeah, in that process, poetry really just started flowing in a new way. And it really made me consider just the internal environments that we create for ourselves, and how those can really open space for inspiration to flow. So that's been a real ongoing kind of exploration of mine. But then, so I had a huge collection, really hundreds of poems, but didn't move forward at all, even the tiniest bit, with publishing them for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had a judgment about self-publishing, an uneducated judgment. I really, and having really dissected my thoughts about all that, the main reason I wanted a publisher was because I was afraid of self-marketing, of, standing by myself and promoting myself. I had a lot of obstacles to doing that. And I wanted validation. I wanted the
Yeah.
validation of a
Yeah.
publisher.
Yeah.
Those were the main two pieces. And so, but I didn't have any connections in the publishing world. I didn't know any agents. It was all so foreign to me. And it was really important, and it was so overwhelming. So I was just stalled for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And the breakthrough that allowed me to finally move forward and publish was that I just decided to reach out to every person I knew on Facebook who had had publishing experience and ask if they would help me. And the first woman, Tina Benson is her name, was so generous. And she said, hey, let's do a call tomorrow. And it turned out she was a twice over international best-selling poet, and just self-published. And so she just really validated the process of self-publishing for me. And it was such a profound moment of kind of reclaiming agency with this process. And publishing a book had been just a dream of dreams, but it felt all of a sudden doable if I was going to be self-publishing. So actually, just 3 weeks from the point I decided to publish, I had published my first book,
Wow.
Susceptible to Light. And that kind of makes it sound, that gives a false impression that the self-publishing process is easy breezy. And it's not. It was a very unusual experience. And it feels like a miracle, truly, that I don't know, that all the pieces came together, because there were so many pieces, inner and outer, And I relied so heavily on emotionally supportive mentorship because it is a big deal to be seen in bringing your
Yeah,
work forward, to
totally.
claim what you want to do, and then just all the practical pieces too. There's a lot. There's so much to it. So
Yeah.
I was so thrilled, David, when you invited me to join you in this, because it's been the most transformational experience of my life, hands down.
Wow.
Publishing a book, and so I want that for other people. And yeah, so many people have reached out to me who have, their books have been getting dusty for years, without fully, going the distance of publishing them. So I know many people need some kind of support to get over that threshold. um
Yep.
and I feel really truly passionate about
Good.
joining people in doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that you've told this story, Chelan, that somebody you talked to who'd been in self-publishing almost said, you just do it. I've done it. You moved so quickly, but someone not only gave you the information, but encouraged you and
yes.
believed in you, you know,
Yes.
and, and, and our role as hosts in Poetry Chapel fundamentally is to believe. I actually think everybody can write poetry. I've had some people
Mm.
join the group, and the best they can do is kind of write in a real Dr. Seuss kind of sense. They've never done anything free form poetry. They've never done anything really meaningful. It's like their poetry journey got stuck in the fifth grade. And some of it's fun and beautiful. And if you're writing kids' poetry, that's fine. But like the real meaningful, heartfelt, heart-wrenching, heart on the table kind of stuff, they were just always so constrained. So through the practices and believing in them, we have different prompts as we go through. Like one of my favorites is, I want you to write a poem to or as your 5-year-old self.
Mm.
And people have never thought I could write a poem about that. And all of a sudden you can't rhyme words anymore. And I'll say, look, just try some different approaches, Let's
Mm.
expose you and see, maybe singing the song in this tune, in this way. Maybe you're not an opera singer. Maybe you're a jazz singer. Maybe you're a rock singer. Maybe you're a death metal singer. Who knows what's there? You've only explored one. And once they hit that note poetically,
Mm.
everyone in the group is like, far out. You can tell a story, and you need to do that again and again. I mean, that then is just an entire paradigm shift. And as the hosts, you'll discover that's one of the biggest joys, is to see people mature because you believe in them and you help them,
Yes. Oh, so yeah, absolutely, David. Yeah, and also reflecting back on my own experience. Yeah, just encouragement and loving, accepting witnesses of my poetry. It was everything. And because it's easy to be dysmorphic kind of, or just confused about how our poetry is reaching people, or just can take a while to trust the value of our voice. And when we get that clear feedback, it's just this incredible fuel for development in those areas. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
absolutely. And I want people to know that once you join the Poetry Chapel, if you sign up to your class or mine,
Mhm.
from week to week, for the first 10 weeks, we are writing poetry. Every week you're given homework tasks, and they get to email them to us, and either myself or I have somebody that works alongside of me, who's also self-published author. She's a really good editor. She loves helping people develop their gifting. We provide you with written feedback. So here's the poem for we will help you craft that week after week. So you get used to working with an editor, you get used to some encouragement, some critique, some help along the way. So it's very hands-on and intensive kind of writing, where most people are thinking about writing every day. And like your journey of like, I'm just going to write a crappy poem every day for 30
Mhm.
days. Well, we do that for 70 days. And at the end, they have it's kind of like an art exhibition. The book is like an art exhibition. Here are some of the best pieces you've painted. Here are some of the best poems that you've written. You get to sort of choose which ones go up in the gallery, which ones are published as an expression of you and your work and your development. But some of them come so far away, and they find their voice. You know,
Yes.
they find a voice, and they realize I can do this. What a lot of people don't really understand, they think I just want to be like you did. I just want to be traditionally published so I don't have to market myself.
Yeah.
Here's what most people don't realize is if you're already kind of unless you're an internationally known person with lots and lots of followers in a particular field, you're always going to have to do your own marketing. Like, even if you're traditionally published, you have to go out and still market your book. You will be under contract with the publishers to market the book because they've put some money forward to get the printing and artwork and typesetting done, and they want a return. So they will demand that you need to market yourself. It's not kind of a free gift. Hey, you're an amazing writer. We'll spend thousands of dollars printing your book, distributing your book, and advertising your book, because no, that's on you. So I don't know if you found the same, but for me, it was like, look, if I have to market and put myself out there, I want to be the main beneficiary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so true. And the truth is too that self-publishing and finding a publisher are not at all mutually exclusive. So, it's such that in fact, in many ways, it's more appealing to a publisher to have a complete finished product that there's already some sales information. You might have already been, doors will have been opening for you and connections will have been being made
100%.
and you have more opportunities for promotion. And that's incredibly appealing to a publisher. So it can be picked up, and all of that.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's
or they may
nothing
actually grab one of
publishing.
your books like yours and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we'd like to reprint that, fix it
Yes.
up, bring out a second edition under our imprint, under our brand,
Yes.
and get it out there and help you, because we can see you've already got 120 views on Amazon. We know you've sold thousands of copies. You're well known. So we want to make money off you as well." Right? Publishing
Totally.
business. It's not publishing charity. It is a business.
Totally, David. But yeah, I think about a lot. If that were to happen, if a publisher were to approach me at this point, I genuinely don't know. I mean, it would depend what the offer was, but I don't know. I mean, the freedom of being a self-published author is incredible. You're
Yep, the
not bound
timing.
by any timeline. You're not bound by pressures from anyone else. You're just in this joyful, meaningful, intimate, beautiful relationship with this audience that comes to love your work. You're your own boss. You can promote yourself as the way you want to. You can make your shout outs about the direction you desire to go, the types of events you want to do. And it's just this incredible, powerful, beautiful freedom.
Yeah.
I love.
You can pack and send your own books.
Yes.
I will often handwrite on the packing slip, or I'll grab one of the typewriters and put something nice in the book because it's from me.
Yes.
You spent $3 more than on Amazon, and you bought it directly from the author, and that actually, like, it puts food on our table. Like, it really matters to us.
Totally.
You know?
And then a couple more plugs for self-publishing. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. I'm in love with self-publishing. I really am. But you get more money per copy sold, way more than you do with a publisher. Way more. And oh gosh, what was the other thing? I can't remember. But anyway, what's not to
I have
love
a
about
list that we go through in the course of I map
good.
out
Okay.
some of the main differences. So all
good.
those
Well,
things are in there. You get to choose. I can tell you some of the things. You get to choose your team. You get to choose your cover. You get to move to market faster. You get to, because we are using print on demand things, if something was wrong, or I put something in a poem that was a little bit questionable, or I needed to change something or take it out because I no longer believe it, or people are coming and saying, I'm not sure what you meant by that and it's unclear. Do you know what I do? I adjust the file, I upload it to the for whether it's Amazon or KDP or Ingram, and from then on, the whole thing's different. The ebook's updated, like holy crap. And the other thing I love is anyone that buys from me, I've got your name and address, so I'm going to stay in contact.
Awesome.
You know?
Beautiful. Yes. Oh God, I can't tell you how many of those changes that I made and how easy it was to do that, how easy to make it,
Yeah.
and how affordable it is to self-publish too, right?
Yeah.
Like it for
Exactly.
me, these books, which that was a misconception I had. I wasn't sure what the investment was going to be upfront. Each was $300 in total for me to
Yeah.
publish.
Yep.
And
If you know what you're doing
if you know what you're doing,
and
if
you're
you know what
willing
you're
to
doing,
do more yourself.
good point. Absolutely. Because there can be really expensive routes and yeah.
Yep. So we will teach everybody our experiences and trade tricks at Poetry Chapel too. So a normal class looks like this. So there's a 14 in each group. I will take 14. You take 14. You'll take the 14 that signed up for you. I take the 14 that signed up for me. And we usually have two gathering options per week. I think you're doing a Thursday and Friday evening for yours, starting June 30 and July 1st. And about half the class will join you on the Thursday night, and then half the class in the second one. And they will have some homework from week one. They'll have something to bring. The first part of the class, which is around usually about 90 minutes to 2 hours, somewhere between that, the Zoom call goes for, is the first maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. We all check in. We share a little bit about how we've arrived to the gathering, and then there'll be some kind of a teaching. So the teaching will be and training will be maybe around poetry, around poetic form, that kind of thing. So usually about the first 5 lessons we really start drilling in, because they're starting to get feedback by email and really exploring different forms, presenting different authors, different writing styles. Then some of what I would call some of the basic important technical tools around poetry. So we don't go through a big advanced thing. This is not a university course, but we talk about alliteration, we talk about assonance, consonants, enjambment, the way that you set your poem out, the way that it times, when you put only 2 or 3 words on a line, how people will read it quicker. So we talk about pace. We present people with different authors and people they can read and learn more about. Well, they've also got this adjunct Facebook group going on, so I'm always posting more information there. So there's plenty there. And then in the second half of the course, we start to introduce the whole publishing and self-publishing tools, and right through to the end, I'm taking screen captures. Hey, here is me editing the cover. Here's me doing the mock-ups. Here's me getting your ISBN number, or ISBN, I should say. Here is me uploading it to Ingram Spark. Here is me showing you how I can give it away for free. So if they don't watch, all those things go in the Facebook group. They're all big screen captures. If they don't want to watch that, they don't have to. But it's all there, to the point, like I said, in the last group, they've got enough to write their own books. And a number of the poets in the first Poetry Chapel, they're in the midst of publishing their own book already, because they have all the tools. They've invested the time, the money, the effort. They have access to me. And if they're unclear, they can still reach out. So that's how that happens. In the first 20 minutes, we teach on that, and then we share. We go around the class, share our poems. We share what we've brought. I think of it as you've baked something, you've bread in your heart. You've broken off part of yourself, and you're kind of sharing it with everybody. Here is a part of my heart. Here's a part of my soul. Here's a part of my expression. Here's some of my grief. Here's some of my joy. Here's some of my exploration. Here's some of my anxiety. It's almost like, here's the bread of my life, and you are sharing it in communion with everyone else, and everyone just gets to sit, to listen, to encourage, maybe give some feedback audibly or in the chat. It's not a critique on on the technicality of the poem, but it makes everybody exceptionally good listeners and lovers of poetry. Yeah, so that's
Oh
what the
my
class
God.
looks like. Then you get homework for the next week, and we do the same thing again and again.
David, thank you for all spelling all that out. And I'm just reflecting back to myself, just because I only published this book. I'm new to this journey. Only less than about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking, oh my God, to have had something like this in in any part of that 11-year journey where I just didn't know what the hell to do, what even was my first step. I cannot begin to express how incredibly grateful I would have been to have discovered something like this. And
Same.
not just, yeah, right. And not just the practical support that would have been incredibly valuable, but the combination. And this is where I think, I mean, everything about Poetry Chapel, it's so good. But the practical, clear step-by-step information, so nothing's left out and left for us to have to figure out, but also just the tone of the space that explicitly values psychological, emotional, social, relational safety, and that is so characterized by support and encouragement is huge. And I, as a poet that needed more of that, I felt really shy to show up in some groups where I was afraid, that wasn't as much of a value. And so
Yeah.
the combination of that, I think, is just, it's so fantastic, and it couldn't be more valuable for people on this path.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's read some poetry of our own. So before I do, people listening, you'll be able to, if you go to poetrychapel.com, and then you'll see at the front, it'll say apply or learn more information, and you can drill either into Chelan's class starting June 30, July 1st, and then mine starting July 13th. Mine are in some different time zones, in that if you're in the US, I run a morning one, Australia time, which is evening in the US, and then I run an evening one, which helps people in the UK. So in this book, we had 3 Australians, a German, someone in Germany, 2 from the UK, and the rest were spread all over America. So it can cross time zones, which is really lovely, like to meet and share poetry with people from all over the world. I should add too what I think is cool. This is a Dave Tensen thing, but I love that Poetry Chapel's kind of expanded. I have a Trinitarian Christian background, okay, and you have a background in the Baha'i faith, but I'm reading our poems and I'm like, there is just so much similarity there. So I never wanted Poetry Chapel to be this kind of a Christian thing at all. It's never about that. I think I agree with, I'm trying to remember who said it. It was Mark Oakley, argues that poetry is the language of God. God speaks in poetry, and a lot of Christians don't even realize 1/3 of the canonized Bible is poetry. This is why fundamentalism and literalism is just, it's hard for me not to make a judgment, but it's an immature form of reading. 10 years ago, I would have said it's just stupid, but it is just, you miss the point, right? You miss the point, and you miss the beauty. You miss the metaphor. You miss the cross language, you just miss all that stuff. And you make it literal. That's not. So I love that this has become into faith, into background, and is opening up into new realms, because it's a human experience. It's not. It's never meant to be a religious one at all. Christians have done too much to sort of claim monopoly on on so much violently over the year. It's just an offering that's open to everyone. So in your group, you will have a bit of a different audience than mine, but I know the work's going to be beautiful. And I'm not, okay, if you write something like, really mean about any religion. There are some basic rules around violence, hypersexuality, and then things
Yeah.
that could overly offend. We'll ask you to present something else to be published, but outside of that, it's open. It's open. So
Excellent. Yeah,
just want
thanks.
to put that out there. I know some
That's
people
good.
wrote in concern.
They wrote concern that they were concerned
Yeah,
about.
they're concerned because they might read that I have a faith-based Christian background, and that's not their
Mm.
jam, And I get that. I get being offended. I'm a Christian. I get offended. I get being offended by Christians. You think you know? Wait till you're one of the animals in that farm. But yeah, that's how that works. All right,
That was good clarification.
you got it. Read for
Should
me some favorites. I'd love to hear. Let's go.
cool. Okay, I'm going to read the first poem that came through at age 21 when I was writing my bad poems. This
Ooh.
came through on day 2. It's called Say Wow. Each day before our surroundings become flat with familiarity and the shapes of our lives click into place, dimensionless and average as Tetris cubes. Before hunger knocks from our bellies like a cantankerous old man, and the duties of the day stack up like dishes, and the architecture of our basic needs commissions all thought to construct the 4-door sedan of safety. Before gravity clings to our skin like a cumbersome parasite, and the colored dust of dreams sweeps itself obscure in the vacuum of reason. Each morning, before we wrestle the world and our hearts into the shape of our brain, look around and say, wow. Feed yourself fire. Scoop up the day entire like a planet-sized bouquet of marvel sent by the universe directly into your arms, and say, wow. Break yourself down into the basic components of primitive awe, and let the crescendo of each moment carbonate every capillary, and say, wow. Yes, before our poems become calloused with revision, let them shriek off the page of spontaneity. And before our metaphors get too regular, let the sun stay, a conflagration of homing pigeons that fights through fire each day to find us.
Oh, so much technically beautiful, but that poem's an experience and you read it. Lovely.
Thank you, David. And you
Love it.
received it in such a lovely way. It's so nice
Well,
to
I
see
love
someone
it.
feel in your poem, like
Hey, it's I want to hear it in my bones. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so
So
much.
I didn't have a poem planned, but I'm just going to respond to yours because I've got.
Oh, excellent.
So we can bounce around if you don't have anything.
Yep.
This is from the new book, and it's called "Break the Day." Break the day. Let me start again. Break open the day. Break open the day like it's a gift you hid from yourself and forgot where it was until one day, this day, you found it, hidden in plain sight, like God was playing a sneaky trick on you. Listen, there's plenty to frown at, flip the bird out, and tell to F off, but there has to be something that comes to you as a gift today. Your job is to find it. Then tear that sucker open like it's been missing and there are a million smiles inside. Throw the wrapping on the floor, knowing your mum will collect it after she asked you to do it 5 times. Scan the room for siblings with jealous looks and give them the stink eye. This one's yours, baby. You earned it. You didn't earn it, but you found it. And it found you. This day has come to you. Break it open.
Yes. Those were such harmonious poems.
I know. Well, we have options, right? You write hundreds of poems and you have some. Let's pick a topic. Do you have one on friends or strangers or what have you got? What else are you going to do?
Oh my gosh, good question. No, the one I was going to do is this is the one. I just want to kiss this poem because it was like the day before I published this book. And
Wow.
this poem came through and I thought, I don't know about this one. This one, I don't know how people, I don't know. I really considered not putting it in the collection. But again, because like you said, it's so editable, you can add and take things away from this, the book when you self-publish. I just
Yep.
decided to throw it in. And then this is the one that just went crazy viral. And
Right.
I don't think we would have met, David, without
It's
this one.
true, because this is the poem I think I heard
Yoga
at the end of a
class.
yoga class. Yep.
Yeah, this one really went far and wide. So thank you, poem. uh, it's called The Worst Thing.
All right.
The worst thing we ever did was put God in the sky out of reach, pulling the divinity from the leaf. Shoot, here's my phone. Start over.
Let's pretend I edited that out.
Oh my
I'm
God.
going to move back into the moment.
Okay, yeah.
That deserves to start again. And I'll mute my phone too. Bonus. Thanks for the reminder.
Yes, right. Okay, the worst thing we ever did was put God in the sky out of reach, pulling the divinity from the leaf, sifting out the holy from our bones, insisting God isn't bursting dazzlement through everything we've made a hard commitment to see as ordinary, stripping the sacred from everywhere to put in a cloud man elsewhere, prying closeness from your heart. The worst thing we ever did was take the dance and the song out of prayer, made it sit up straight and cross its legs, removed it of rejoicing, wiped clean its hip sway, its questions, its ecstatic yowl, its tears. The worst thing we ever did is pretend God isn't the easiest thing in this universe, available to every soul in every breath.
The last stanza. It's such a good sandwich poem, because the first stanza is quite small, right? And then the
Yes.
last one, and then it's like a
Oh, thanks.
it's gorgeous. And
David.
so I mean, if I heard that in class, I'd be like, I want everybody to listen to the cadence of that, of that. It's easy to get into. There's the bit in the middle is a little bit thicker, and but then it ends in this easy kind of, you're really back into it. And sometimes we do that accidentally, right? but it's not, because you've written it down. You've put the spaces where you broke the line where you did, you broke the stanzas where you did. And it's just it's gorgeous, has a lot of really good technical stuff in there. And free form, I love Mary Oliver said, should just be like a good conversation. That's easy to get into.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to reply with one that has been probably one of my most famous ones. It's
Excellent.
It's from The Wrestle, and it's called Kind of Way. And there's a guy who wrote a book called The Shack. His name's Paul Young. He came across my poetry. That's a crazy story, but this is a poem he read a lot as he traveled too. And it's one of the reasons this book did so well as well. So bless you. Thank you, Paul. Kind of Way. I know that you know, so I should probably confess it. Not because it's a bad thing, but because it's normal and necessary to admit. You've disappointed me and continue to, although I don't mind as much now. Still, there were many times I prayed, followed the rules, gave my two mites, did all the things I told would work and others certified, with charismatic conviction to do more, give more, faith more, sacrifice more, lots more. But still, nothing, no breakthrough like I believed, like I prayed for. I underestimated you. I wanted to believe you were containable, constrainable, and reliable in the my way kind of way. The magician, the hitman, slot machine, deal maker, earth shaker, genie in a bottle kind of way. And then I recalled that on a dark but necessary day, You took yourself in my kind of way and the cosmos to a cross. Then you went missing for 3 days, and my world fell apart. All my hope exhaled a forsaken surrender, and my heart broke, and my dreams broke, and my kind of way kind of died again. And there you were, alive and the same, but not really. A resurrected form of you that even took familiar friends by surprise. And that's what you keep doing to this day. You keep failing and disappointing me in the best kind of ways. And every time I think I've got you where I think I need you, you disappoint and disappear and turn up incognito on a familiar path, at a regular meal, in an average garden, with a spark in your eye that demands my attention. And you invite me again to put my hand in your side, embrace you and kiss you and get to know you again in a new kind of way.
Hmm. Oh my God. Whoa. That one really knocked my socks off, David. I don't actually read that. I don't read nearly as much poetry. I spent so much time writing it that
Same.
I don't take very much in. I don't know. I don't even think about it really that much. But that was such a gift to hear that poem, and just it gave me some perspective about the effect that I hear a lot of people share about my poetry. And I'm always like, wow, it did that. But what my experience was of yours, just there was just being so deeply, like, such a deep part of myself that is very much there, but I'm not always in contact with it, just feeling frustrated with God, or with, and
Yeah.
just so, and you empathize with that, and then you also like help it somehow in this beautiful, graceful way reframe itself, and have more, just to, I don't know, take the edge off of the frustration, and like infuse it with like a really beautiful, gentle understanding that that just creates a new perspective of that whole experience. That was magical.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. I want to hear
I
another
guess,
one. Let's go.
yeah, just like realizing what poetry can do. It can really,
Mm.
poetry is a freaking powerful tool.
So powerful.
Oh
Yep.
my God. I was kind of wordy there. I don't know if I even said what I tried to say, but you get the point,
I hear
I
you.
think. Words sometimes. Well, that's another, you and I have a lot of interesting commonalities, and one of them is that
We
we
do.
both connect with these authors that we love so much, and that were huge inspirations for us. And yeah.
But this is a very favorite book of mine. When I say don't read poetry, I do, but then there are some where. So this is a gorgeous book, and Daniel, he like endorsed your stuff, right?
Yeah, he wrote the foreword to this book.
That's
Yeah. And
if people don't have this book, Love Poems from God. It's gorgeous. Rumi, St. Francis of Assisi, Hafiz Kabir, St. Francis of Siena, Thomas of Aquin. They're just all in this. I love it. Can I share before you jump in, let me share my very favorite poem from this
oh,
book. It's a St.
please.
Francis of Assisi poem, right?
Mm.
I once spoke to my friend, an old squirrel, about the sacraments. He got excited, and he ran into a hollow in his tree and came back holding some acorns, an owl feather, and a ribbon he had found. And I just smiled and said, "Yes, dear, you understand. Everything imparts his grace."
Amazing.
It just always makes me smile.
Oh, no
All
doubt.
right.
So you just read that poem that what was his name? The Shack Man?
Paul Young. Yeah.
Paul Young, that connected with Paul Young. And so right before I published my poetry, I was really just sort of trying to, get inspiration from Hafez poetry. And this particular one that came through felt like just sort of strangely aligned. And then anyway, Daniel Ladinsky, the renderer, somehow discovered this, my poetry, and reached out to me, and we became good friends. And
Wow.
he's helped me profoundly with marketing and publicity too. So I'll share this poem that I sent to him.
All right.
Anyway, it's called Hafez. Hafez was generous. Hafez is the mystical poet who Daniel does the
He always
renderings.
talks about himself in the third person.
Yeah, he does. Totally.
Hafez smiled.
You and I should try that, David.
I'm waiting for that. Chelan laughed.
It might not. It might not have the same effect.
No.
Okay,
All right.
Hafez was generous. Hafez was generous. I asked him for help with my poetry, and he stuffed my heart with 1,000 suns, for starters. He poured a collection of instruments into my soul and announced, "Play." He spit-shined my inner eye that it might see wild magic everywhere, winking back at it. I asked Hafez for help with my poetry, and he responded, "It's about time you asked. I've been waiting with a stampede of muses to unleash upon you. I've been waiting with a cosmos of roses to hand to you, to bring forth even the shyest part of your love and get it dancing." I asked Hafez for help with my poetry. He said, "All poems already are, like luminous birds in the spirit realm. You simply must summon them." And he started wildly throwing bird food directly into my soul. There's a secret trapdoor in heaven. When you pull on that string, God topples down upon you. I asked Hafez for help with my poetry, and he pushed God out that door to land right on top of my heart.
Oh, there's a lot of joy in that poem.
Oh,
and
thanks.
and that's a great demonstration of like a story. You tell a story with how something unraveled for you, something meaningful, and I love that, because I've heard you tell the real story of how you went and you prayed and you asked, but that's put a whole big meaning on that. I don't know if I have a response to that one.
Well, I feel like mine was more of a response to yours. So maybe that
Uh,
conversation completed itself.
It has. Let's leave it there. It's been lovely to hear those poems. We've just talked and not actually read poetry, recited for each other. So that's really lovely. I think we should, let's end it there. Let everybody know again those dates. Yours starts in June, late June, early July. Mine starts mid-July. People can go to poetrychapel.com to find out, sign up. There is a cost involved. It's an investment. We do that because as artists and poets and parents, and trust me, you will get a lot of value from the course. So at the end of the course too, just some very little technicalities. At the end of it, everybody gets sent 5 copies of the book that's directly shipped to you. And then they have the options to buy more copies of the book, heavily discounted. So if some people that I know have gone and ordered another 20 books, went and sold those locally to people they knew, and then recouped some of their costs. But as everybody told me when I started writing, although I've been profitable in my writing and poetry, do it for the meaning. Don't do it for the money. There are easier ways to make money. But if you want to do something that is meaningful and transformative, then this may be the thing that you need right now in your life, because a lot of people are just aspiring poets, but just don't know where to start. And that's why we created Poetry Chapel, so they can go out there and do it for themselves. So, anything you want to add to finiess off?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who is listening, but whoever you are, it'd just be so meaningful to join up with you in these spaces. I'm so genuinely excited. Just, for the nurturance that this space is going to bring to me in my own process, really. And how much we'll all learn through each other. And so it'd be such an amazing honor to publish a book with you. And if you have any questions too, by all means,
let us know.
very, very
I should add too, at the end of the book, I don't own. All I have got, and this is your first question to me, Chelan, is like, if you publish the book, Dave, as a Poetry Chapel collection, do I lose the rights to all the poems? Absolutely not. So every
Mm.
poem you put in the book, all I've got is permission to print and sell the book, but you own the rights to those poems, so you can put your poems and your works in anywhere else you want because they still remain your copyright. You're not handing
Yes.
over the full rights of the poem at all to myself, to Poetry Chapel, to you, to anyone. They remain the author's works for them to do with what they want. So
And
there's a
that's
real
huge.
safeguard there.
Yeah, that's huge, and it's all too rare to find that worked into the
Yeah.
system.
Look, I think the publishing is a really big bonus. Of course, everyone hopes they sell well because here's the thing: people are getting to leverage exposure off you and I, Chelan. People that are already known in their poetry circles, people that already have followers, and they're going to open your newest book and they're going to read through it and they're going to flick open to poems that are by
Mm,
other people. What a joy to
absolutely.
be a door opener to say, hey, check out these other amazing, wonderful poets. You know, you at the end of it, you need to call yourself a poet. You may, but you're a
Yes.
poet. You're a published poet. Your name, yours will read, Chelan, Harkin, and friends, and their names will all appear here, and they'll have, bios, and they can put their Instagram accounts or whatever they want to in there to start to garner new fans and get new followers. And I want people. There's some people that have written in these poetry collections. I have said, you better publish something yourself. Like, there is a gift in there that the world needs. You have a way with words and a story to tell that we need. You better tell me you're going to do it, and you better let me help you publish that book because it's profound work. So, yeah.
Mm. I'm so excited for this
All right.
journey.
So you have
Thank you.
right now, you have about 8 or 9 spots left. I've got about,
Mhm.
I think about 10 or 11 spots left. Mine's later. So if people are keen, they need to jump on this sooner
Yeah,
rather
do
than
jump
later.
on. Jump on. Jump right on it.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Chelan. Take
Thanks,
care.
David. Bye.